So, listeners, we had spoken in detail about how this was the least painful month that we've ever done of Listener Submitted Month.
We were wrong.
So let's just go straight to the email. I don't even have the name down on who sent this, and that's probably for the best. So this is a long email, so here we go. Hey guys, I hope this email doesn't get unread because of my subject line. Can't remember what the subject line is. Anyway, longtime fan and listener who's listened to every episode twice, and as long as I've listened, I've always wondered what movie I should suggest for the show. Well, today at work, it dawned on me. I admit that video game adaptations, especially the polished turds that Uwe Boll makes, are easy fodder, but BloodRayne just perfectly captures the early 2000s neo-goth craze and the garbage semi-horror media that it produced. I played the game in 8th grade and I liked it well enough. And I remembered seeing this my sophomore year of high school and then debating with myself if the titties were worth how atrocious and wildly confusing the whole movie is. Watch as BloodRayne is unable to decide if she's a capable half-vampire warrior who's good at fighting, I guess, or a whimpering mall goth teenager who's powerless against the seemingly endless stream of men wanting to molest her. Watch a grease-stained Michael Madsen put so little effort into this movie that you'll swear Uwe Boll asked him to come over and hang out for a little bit and then just threw a wig on him and told him that he was going to be in a movie. Witness Meatloaf acting furiously as a profoundly uncomfortable villain, apparently modeled after Mozart, if he ditched the music and kept the prostitutes. Witness Ben Kingsley struggle with his fangs and his ridiculous hairpiece, inexplicable American accents in the Renaissance times, a ton of unnecessary murder of both people and animals, an inability to tell which characters you're supposed to be rooting for, a brief appearance by the hero of thespians, Billy Zane, wearing a hairpiece made from the fur of an aged Scottish Terrier, while hopefully getting a good episode out of this dumpster fire. But at least you're not watching Space Invaders. Also, if you end up picking this, for whatever reason, want or need a guest host, I would immediately shit myself and break out my SM57 if you allowed me to join you on tearing this one apart. Much love and thanks for the amazing podcast. Unfortunately, I don't even remember who sent this email to tell them I'm sorry that I forgot to invite you on the show. But
it's a good fucking email, too. That was like one of the better.
Yeah.
I think that's why we voted for it, because if we had nothing to say at the bare minimum, we had an email.
It
was from Corwin, and I won't say his last name, but Corwin.
Let's call him. Let's see if he has time to be on or not. Because his email was better than anything I have to say about this movie.
Pretty much. It looks like, you know what, I will say this, I don't know if I should say this. It looks like he's a graphic designer based on his name tag on his email. So, thanks for the well-written email. Very well-written email.
It looks like he's a graphic designer since his email says Corwin the graphic designer.
But yeah, so BloodRayne. So there's a couple signs that this is a bad movie as soon as you put it on. The fact that there's about 5 producers, the words directed by Uwe Boll.
Yeah.
All bad signs right out the gate.
And what bothers me is like, this is the type of movie as a kid I always wanted, and it just didn't come out like very well. Like I remember watching.
What did you want out of this?
So what this movie had that I wanted that sucked is no, because I'll talk about that scene when it's time. But
I think that's going to be a quarter of our fucking episode.
Yeah. I remember watching like Van Helsing, and it's like, I wish they had like these superhero, because I didn't even know this movie existed until last week, but I was like, I wish they had like these like Van Helsing style movies, but had like a shitload of gore, because I had like a gore fetish, in my early teens, and it's like, this has it. This is like an action adventure really, but with like a shitload of gore, but it just doesn't make up for how bad the movie is, and the gore sucks. Like it's not a good movie.
It's not. And I told Scott that this might be like bottom 5 that we've ever done for the show. Like just it's because it's not only is it bad, like Sick was bad and Smiley was bad, but like there was some element of like, this is such a miss that there's something charming in it. There's nothing charming in this. There's nothing. This is nothing. It's bad, and it's not fun bad in the slightest.
The only thing that I can say about this that's better than Smiley is I gave the people that made Smiley money. And this was on Prime, so they got like what did
like 10 cents?
Yeah, like 6 cents.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, the cast in this is insane. Like they're not like the biggest names in the world, but it's like
Sir Ben Kingsley.
That's what I mean. Like there's like people where I'm like, you could say no to like I literally have a note that says I think Meatloaf is incapable of saying no to roles.
Yeah, he really is, because I just watched Pelts from the Masters of Horror series, and yeah, he won't turn down a role.
No,
Yeah.
What pissed me off the most about Meatloaf in this movie was I was like, man, this movie's really bad. And then we got to like the final death of the boss Meatloaf, and I was like, okay, so they're killing the main guy. And then I realized I was 33 minutes into the movie. Like I genuinely thought it was the final boss battle. And I was like, this sucked, but it went kind of fast.
I wrote a note that said it's been 30 minutes and I have no clue what's happening because I continuously am zoning out while watching this.
Yeah.
Like this could not hold my attention.
I had to put my phone in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Because it was just like I would be watching it. I'm like, focus. Instagram. No.
I could not. So I'm going to make a reference, and I'm pretty sure Scott hasn't seen this. He might have. I know that Brian has seen this. The editing in this movie, specifically during like escape sequences and flashbacks, he puts this weird camera effect on, and it is directly from this mini series that I used to love that came out in the 2000s called The 10th Kingdom. Do either of you remember this special?
No.
Okay. It's very forgotten. It was like the tail end of mini series. And it's fun. It's very old and it feels old. But this has the editing style in 2006 of a 1999 miniseries. That's the level of competency that's in this movie, and it shattered my brain. Shattered.
And I was so upset. I even had to text him like, "Is this a 2006 movie?"
You were hoping we'd be like, "No, don't watch that."
Because for me, like the worst movies of the 70s and 80s have some sort of endearing fact to them. You know, it's almost like by 2006, you know better.
Yeah.
So that there's no excuse. And it's less fun to rip on.
So I think that Uwe Boll, if I understand and remember Uwe Boll well, I think the whole thing is that he uses some type of like tax refund.
As far as I understand, I mean, you're close. From what I've read, it's that there's money from the German government to make movies.
Yeah, so he just basically
just makes shitty movies and makes money off of distribution to other countries.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was something weird like that.
Are we going to talk like the Uwe Boll for the rest of the show? I have to call people retards. It's his favorite word. Like I watched a couple interviews with that piece of shit in preparation for this movie. Actually, I watched them in preparation for the discussion because I wanted to make fun of what a piece of shit he is. And he decided at one point that he was going to, because of the critics did not like BloodRayne, so he wanted to like fucking fight them. And so
I was just about to say, didn't he like box critics?
Boxed a critic, and he punched the guy in the fucking head.
What a tool bag.
Yeah, and he uses the R word a lot.
He also started a restaurant. He opened a restaurant, which has gotten better reviews than any of his movies.
Yeah, probably because he has nothing to do with it. He just bankrolled it.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, like, I want to see the order in which he did these. Like, where does BloodRayne fall in the filmography?
This is 2006, right?
Okay, so it started with House of Dead. Then it
oh
was
my
Alone
god,
in the
House
Dark.
of the Dead is so bad.
Then he did Alone in the Dark.
Is
and
that the
then
one
it was
with
BloodRayne.
Kevin Bacon, Alone in the Dark?
Christian Slater.
Christian
I think.
Slater. Okay,
Yeah. And Tara
that was
Reid.
based on a game, right?
Yeah, they're all video games.
Oh
Then
my
there was
God.
in the Name of the King, BloodRayne 2, Postal, Seed, Alone in the Dark 2, Far Cry, Rampage,
Shit.
and
He
then a
did
bunch
BloodRayne
of
3.
BloodRayne the Third Reich, yes. Around the same time that he did Blubberella,
What?
which revolved around an obese superhero set in Nazi-occupied Europe.
Why is this German obsessed with Nazis?
Yeah. She's
I
a
don't know.
plus-size vampire-human hybrid with a hatred for Hitler, but a soft spot for candy. That is the tagline to this movie.
You know, if this was anyone but Uwe Boll that was in charge of it, I would be all over it. I would
Yeah.
watch the shit out of that.
Yeah.
But I know it's irredeemable because he couldn't direct his way out of a paper bag.
I don't know. That's weird. This sounds weird. The actress says that she was excited for the opportunity to make a movie where a fat girl can kick some ass. But I have a feeling that it is not as women empowerment as she's going to make it sound like it is in interviews.
Oh, no. Yeah.
I feel like it's probably super insulting. There is 2 moments in this movie where I was like kind of impressed, quote unquote, if we can use that word. One is very early on. The BloodRayne is in like a circus show, and they throw her hand in holy water to show that it like burns her up, and then they have to feed her blood, and they sacrifice this sheep, and it is brutal looking. I wrote Jesus Christ, that sheep sacrifice, because there was a split second. If they didn't cut the exact second than they did, I was like, they're going to kill this sheep right here on the screen.
I would bet $1 that they really killed that sheep. You know, when we watched what was that first movie that Adam subjected us to back in the
Taxidermia?
Taxidermia. There's actual animal murder in that movie.
Yeah, that was not fun. That movie's not fun. Don't watch it. No. Don't ever watch Taxidermia. It's not a game.
There are 2 more people in this movie that you met. 2 more pretty well-known actors that you have not yet mentioned.
Oh, Michelle Rodriguez.
Well, yeah. Then there's Michale Paré. And then fucking Udo Kier is in this. I mean, although Udo Kier really has no scruples whatsoever, he just wants to be in the films.
Yeah, this movie, the cast, like, as I was sitting there watching the cast pop up, I was like, this is insanity.
Yeah, but also Kristana Loken, what the fuck did she do after this? Like, nothing.
I just don't know how he got these people.
I don't either. But the funnier thing about it is less that how he got them and more that he sued the shit out of Billy Zane, because Billy Zane apparently helped with the distribution of this film. And then Uwe Boll sued him for owing him money.
Yeah.
So crazy.
She doesn't have a whole lot going on for looking through here. A lot of like random TV appearances and a few other like not sounding so great movies. Like she appeared in a movie called The Legend of Awesomus Maximus.
Wow, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, from the director of Revenge of the Nerds comes an outrageous sword and sandals spoof.
Oh, like we haven't had enough sword and sandal spoofs. Just make a good sword and sandal movie.
And you know who plays? Oh man, this is bad. You know who plays Awesomus Maximus?
Who?
No.
Will Sesso from Mad TV.
Oh, Will Sasso. Is that
Sasso.
Is Sesso the way you say his name?
I think it's Sasso.
It's probably Sasso. Keep in mind who's saying it.
I wasn't trying to shame you. I was just trying to understand if I've been saying it wrong.
No, I've heard enough of, unless he just doesn't correct anyone, because he's on the radio all the time.
I mean, what else are you gonna do when you're
interviews?
An ex-Mad TV dude?
It's impressive to me, just looking at the director of Revenge of the Nerds credits, that man, he really had nothing going for him after Revenge of the Nerds. He did like one other noteworthy movie and nothing else.
Well,
Maybe that's why there were so many fucking Revenge. Did he direct all 4 of them or no?
No, just the first one,
Oh.
and then he did like some shit I never heard of except for Troop Beverly Hills,
Ooh,
which I've never seen.
Troop
but
Beverly
I
Hills
just
is
am aware.
great.
Yeah, with Shelley Long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never seen it. But yeah, that's the only other noteworthy movie in his entire filmography of 22 directing jobs.
That is so confusing that he did Troop Beverly Hills, because like he comes across as a real misogynist from when you watch Revenge of the Nerds, but then
maybe it was like 5 years removed. He's like, I need to make up for that scene in Revenge of the Nerds. That scene, as if there was only one.
Yeah. So here's a question: was Troop Beverly Hills really only 5 years after Revenge of the Nerds?
Yeah, Revenge of the Nerds was 84. Troop Beverly Hills was 89.
Wow, because I remember I watched Troop Beverly Hills quite a few times on VHS. Because when we were kids, Friday nights normally would be like we'd go to the grocery store or the pharmacy, whichever video store collection we wanted to go to. My sister and I would get to pick one video, and so it usually was like every other week I'd get to pick something. It was always Star Wars, but she
understandably
loved Troop Beverly Hills.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. I will check it out for sure.
I don't know if it lives up to the
I think you forget how much
nostalgia.
I love 80s comedies in general. So.
I remember it being a lot funnier than it had any right to be, because I think I rewatched it I think Megan and I might have watched it together when it was on Netflix, or maybe we back when Netflix was doing the actual discs. Maybe I don't remember for sure, but in any case, so I know that we've been avoiding talking about BloodRayne, but I guess we should probably do that. So I have a question. So neither of you guys ever played the game, right?
No.
Which is funny because I am not a modern gamer, but in college I played a fuck ton of GameCube, and I loved BloodRayne. So
does this follow any of the game even remotely, or is it just character name?
No, it's truly just the character name, and that's what sucks so bad, is because actually BloodRayne: The Third Reich, which they don't get better. Just FYI, I watched all 3 in preparation for this, and they don't get better, except for the fact that what's her name? I wrote down her name. Natasha Malfi is the woman who plays BloodRayne in the second and third one. She actually looks the part better and can act a little more than Kristana Loken, but that's not saying much because Kristana Loken is a cardboard cutout with tits. And I mean that in the nicest possible way, to cut out cardboard cutouts and boobies, because she looks great. But when if it was just pictures of BloodRayne, you could maybe see it, but when you try and have that thing move and act like a real human, it's like the Uncanny Valley, like when how we haven't gotten robots to be realistic enough not to be creepy. That's Kristana Loken trying to act.
Right, so
but in the game you are the
it's not a game.
It's not a game. In the game you are this Damphir who is going around. So, okay, the one thing that this movie does get right is that these pieces of the original Dracula or whatever are what she's grabbing to get more power, because there's like a Nazi who's trying to get all the pieces. But it's set in World War II, and so you just basically she kills a lot of Nazis in that. In this movie, she's really not trying to eat people, and in in the actual game she gets shot by Uzis and then just jumps on the guy. She straddles these dudes, sucks their blood, and then gets her power back, and then she'll go into a blood rage, and she never uses her weapons in this movie. Those arm blades are the arm blades, and the skin tight leather outfit are what makes BloodRayne and killing Nazis. And in this movie, she doesn't use the arm blades at all. Her outfit barely fits. Did you notice the fact that nobody's outfits fit?
No.
Man. But I could believe it.
Like, if you, I'm not suggesting anyone watch this film, but go on Google and just type in Kristana Locke and BloodRayne or something like that, and you'll see that her pants are baggy in the thighs. It's supposed to be a sexy character, and I'm not saying that we need to have the male gaze on, you know, every single character, but like when you're Uwe Boll making a movie about a video game that is very, very sexually charged, like BloodRayne is a succubus, more or less. So, you know, why? I just feel so lazy. That's what I'm getting at. Is it all feels so lazy? And man, Michelle Rodriguez, how did she ever become an actress? Like in Hollywood,
she is sleeping her way through every
she
line
makes
of dialogue.
one face. I watched this. Well, you guys will remember because I messaged you about this because it's been about a month and a half removed since I watched BloodRayne, BloodRayne 2, BloodRayne 3, Resident Evil, all in the span of like 5 days. And Michelle Rodriguez is in Resident Evil as well. And that woman can't act. All she does is make this like furrowed brow face, and it looks like the rest of her face is frozen. Like she has Botox in all of it. Like it just can't move.
Yeah, so let's talk about, there's one moment in this movie. So here's the thing. I'm convinced that 95% of the filming of this movie, Uwe Boll was just sitting in a corner counting money and just telling them to do whatever they wanted. But there was one day that he showed up on set and he was dressed to the nines, had a fresh cup of coffee, and he had a vision. And that was to film a sex scene. Because the amount of detail and camera work and feels like someone actually caring about what they're doing shines in that scene more than anything else in this movie.
and listen, forgive me for saying they did way too. It was just way too much.
It was so long.
It was like a Cinemax movie.
So
and it's like what are you gonna say, Scott?
I haven't mentioned this, but I saw this in the movie theater, and
oh shit,
that scene was insanely uncomfortable. I wasn't there with a girl. I was just there with my buddy Eric, and there were a lot of people in that movie theater. And wow, I have never wanted to turn away from a sex scene as badly as I do every time I watch the sex scene in this movie.
I felt like I was invading on someone's privacy.
Yeah, but it's not even like they like each other. It makes no sense that they're banging. But the thing is that I don't understand what this BloodRayne's, you know, like her raison d'etre, you know, like what is her point besides killing Kagan? Because she's like kind of attracted to everyone because Uwe Boll knows that he has to have some girl on girl kissing because neckbeards love that shit. And then they have to have this really awkward long sex scene. Like and I'll tell you, in the subsequent films, she does not have a gender type. She is pansexual. She will fuck anything that breathes, and sometimes people that don't breathe.
But yeah, I mean, I was gonna say I'm sorry that we're having such a short episode, but like fucking, we just came off those Monster Mania episodes, and they're pretty damn long. So you know what? We gave you guys a lot of shit. You can deal with the fact that we got nothing to say about this piece of trash.
Yeah. I do have one more thing to point out. Was that Billy Zane was in Zoolander 2 with Will Ferrell, who was in The Other Guys with Michael Keaton, who wasn't Beetlejuice. Yeah, I'm done.
So I actually have a note. My very last note is I'm going to just read it verbatim instead of quoting it because this is how just annoyed I was watching this, and I'm reiterating what I was talking about her outfit, her costume. Something that's always bothered me is how loose her pants are. Like, you're a vampire superhero. Why are your pants loose?
Yeah.
I don't know what my thought process was when I was watching this film, that the concept would be like, yeah, you're a superhero, so your pants would be tight.
Yeah, you got to have it tight and pristine. So what were your guys' double features with this?
Who wants to start?
Not me, because I want to give you guys an adequate chance to pick what I have picked.
All right, I'll go first. Oh,
all right. No, you can go.
I'm going to go with the other vampire superhero hybrid that I could think of. The first Blade movie.
Oh, okay. That wasn't what I had. I was kind of I'm surprised. I'm proud of you because I was gonna pick Blade if you didn't.
Yeah. I haven't watched that movie in a while, but I'm pretty confident it probably holds up well.
Oh yeah, dude, it's got the kid from The Gate in it.
Well, that's the seal of approval for anything. I was thinking about seeing this movie, but I wasn't really interested. The kid from The Gate's in it. Well, then that changes everything.
Also, you got Wesley Snipes doing one of the greatest lines of all time. Some motherfuckers always trying to ice skate uphill.
Up. Improv on the set, I believe.
It sounds like something that he would just be like, this sounds badass. Let me say
it. Good shit. All right, Brian or Scott?
Brian.
All right, so originally I was going to do House of the Dead.
Oh, dude, you do not want to put people through that.
Yeah, well, I do, but I just don't want to do something that we've already kind of like acknowledged. So I guess I'm going to go with, although it's a stretch, but originally I went with House of the Dead because it's a video game horror movie. But based on the cover now and around the same time, to have two terrible horror movies back to back, I would do 2001 Bones starring Snoop Doggy Dogg as the killer, because that movie was painful to watch. I watched it like 5 years ago, and I still remember how painful it was.
It left a mark on you.
Well, because I remember it being great, like as a kid, and I think it was just like there's like a lot of movies that like when you're younger and you're just like so like into the whole hip hop,
I think
lifestyle. Just like Belly. Belly is a terrible movie, but 12-year-old me is like, Belly's a great movie. Yeah, Bones was really bad. I almost thought about doing it once for an episode just because of how bad the special effects are.
Wait, so what kind of killer is he? Is he a supernatural killer?
He's a vampire, right?
He's a vampire. I almost wanted to say he's a werewolf, because they do respect the backstory to vampires, because he does turn into a dog.
Okay, yeah, that's vampire. Yeah, I suppose Snoop Dogg, werewolf, vampire. Dracula does the he turns into a wolf sometimes, so I get it.
Yeah, so we'll watch it. I think I'm gonna add it to the list, but I'm gonna add it for like 2020.
Yeah, we got a big fucking year going on. We don't want to sully it with that.
Yeah.
So
that's my double feature.
So my double feature was I was gonna say Underworld, because it's basically a better BloodRayne. Like like Underworld it still holds up because most of it's practical effects. It's really pretty fun. And it's just not like it's not one of those movies that I feel the urge to watch. But if it's like if Megan sees it on Netflix or something and is like, ooh, do you want to watch Underworld? I'd be like, fuck yeah, I'll watch Underworld. But my original, if you hadn't said, if anybody had said Underworld, I was going to say Silent Hill, because, it's a video game movie. And I think that it actually is scary. I mean, not scary, but it's unnerving. There's I
always hear it referred to as like probably one of the best horror video game adaptations.
Yeah, well, I mean, what else is there?
Yeah.
Stay Alive. We've talked about quite a few of them, and they're all terrible.
I will let the listeners know a heads up so they can. And this is cheating, I know, but I don't care. So they can vote for me. I was trying to find you guys a picture of the dog from Bones movie, so I Google searched Bones movie dog, and I got my Patreon pick for next month. It is going to be called, when you're voting, keep an eye out for Sherlock Bones Undercover Dog. The tagline is the world's first talking police dog on a mission and pausable.
Oh, jeez.
Brian, you just don't ever want to win the Patreon.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping
duking it out.
I'm hoping that they'll listen to this episode, and I don't think I'll win, but I'm hoping that someone will be like, you know what? I'm gonna throw him a bone. Get it, Sherlock Bones.
All right. Well, while you're mentioning the Patreon, this is a great time to wrap up the episode, because we've been talking about BloodRayne from 2006, but if you are only listening to the main feed, you're only getting a portion of what Horror Movie Night has to offer. If you head over to the Patreon page, patreon.com/HMM podcast, there is a whole plethora of cool bonus features that you can get to get even more of that Horror Movie Night in your life. This month, we're talking about Teen Wolf. We've got a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers episode, and there's an episode coming up in a couple weeks. And there's going to be a bonus feature attached to that episode where we talk to our guest about why all of us were in Pennsylvania together in April. So if you want to know what we've got up our sleeves, Patreon is the place to go to find out. So hit up the Patreon page. Also, if you're listening on any type of device, you probably are, you're listening somehow, go over to iTunes, rate, review, and subscribe to the show there. It really helps our standings. It helps us get more into the public view. And one last piece of housekeeping, June 7th, we're still working out the details, but June 7th, we will be doing possibly our final live stream. I'm saying possibly because next year will be our 5-year anniversary, so it does feel like maybe we should do something big for 5 years. But after this, our lives are getting a little crazy, and setting aside a whole day to just sit on the internet and watch movies with y'all is, as fun as it is, very intrusive on our lives. Finally, we are going to be at the Pop and Rock Horror Convention in Gettysburg, May 31st. I know for a fact that Scott, Kyle, myself, and the Jersey Ghouls will be there. I don't know if anyone else that has been a regular on the show will be there. I don't know if Brian's going to be able to make it out there.
I will not.
Dude is saving up like 10 G's for a wedding in less than a month. So he might not be making as many convention appearances as the rest of us. Show him some respect. Don't give him shit about it. And we might have a panel there. I'm not sure yet. Still working out the details. So stay tuned on the Facebook page to find out if that's official or not. But that is all.
If you're still listening, I was waiting until now to tell you guys a little story about House of the Dead.
Oh no!
Yes.
Ooh.
Well, this is the unrated story because we had a entertaining little conversation when I was a little drunk at Monster Mania about my pornographic history, and I wanted to mention House of the Dead in just a quick little anecdote here. So it came out, I want to say 2003. Does that sound 2004?
Yep. 2003.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I think that it might have been spring of 2004 then. So I was no longer religious, but I was like, I need to give myself a challenge. So I gave up masturbation for Lent, my junior year of college. I made it 14 days, which is, and I watched House of the Dead, and there's too many movies, and I lost that bet. Sorry, God. Sorry, Jesus. Your sacrifice went unused.
Well, for more embarrassing teenage antics, tune in to next week's episode on Horror Movie Night.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.